Today we're on the telephone talking with Saad Eskander, Director of the National Library and Archives in Iraq, in Baghdad. Saad, it's hard to believe that it's been 3 years since the last time you did an interview with American libraries. And what prompted us to contact you again, of course, was President Obama's recent announcement that the United States has reached, quote, the end of our combat mission in Iraq. Now, in 2007, you said that only the extremists in Iraq would benefit from a U.S. withdrawal. Do you still see that as the case?
I think the events this month and last month proved that I was right. The terrorists intensified the terrorist attacks against civilian targets in Iraq. The last attack was near the National Library and Archives, when the old head quarter of the Ministry of Defense was attacked by a group of Al-Qaeda fighters. The National Library suffered from a lot of material damages. Most of the doors, windows, and ceiling were destroyed during the attack. And, we are passing through a very, very difficult period. And I am afraid it's a period of either make or break for us. We have a political crisis, we have a security gap, and there is no light at the end of the tunnel.
Look, can you bring us up to date on what kind of progress, what has happened at the National Library and the rebuilding of the library and archives over the past 3 years?
Now we are constructing 2 additional buildings to the main buildings. One for the National Archives, which will house all the labs we have, the restoration lab, microfilm labs, and all our archival collections. That will be a big building with a lot of storage area in it. We have another building that the construction of that building started early this year and will be at the end of this year. That building will be dedicated for children, the library for children between the age of 3 and 15. On the other hand, we continue to modernize our work. For example, we are now member of the World Digital Library. We issue 3 e-journals, one for cultural heritage, the second is for women's rights, and the third is for book reviews. During these 3 last years, we were able to restore thousands of water damaged documents and a lot of rare publications. We brought from the British Library beautiful copies of their records and documents and maps and photographs related to Iraq. We collected around 1 million documents from the Saddam period. On the other hand, we started to negotiate with the American government the return of all Iraqi records and documents by the U.S. Army. These are the main important work we have done during these 3 years.
Now, of course, early in the U.S.-led invasion, it was reported that many books were looted or, in some cases, taken from the library for safekeeping. Can you tell us any more about some of those materials that were supposedly looted? Have they been returned? Are they out on the black market? Do you know what's going on with those materials?
Unfortunately, we were not able to retrieve all these missing rare books, documents, maps, and photographs because they were smuggled abroad, and the neighboring countries don't cooperate with us in relation were handed over by some Iraqi citizens who purchased these rare books in black market.
Can you tell us what the mood of the people in Baghdad is right now? Your staff in particular, are people feeling hopeful, angry, despair? How are they reacting to this period?
It's all of the things you mentioned. They are angry, disappointed, and they are very pessimistic about their future. They are angry at the politicians for failing to form a national government. They are angry because there is no basic services, no electricity, no clean water, and the situation is getting worse. Security speaking, no real reform took place in the field of the economy or culture or education. We are still in the old Iraq.
Do you feel that the work you've been doing over the past 3 or 4 years is in danger of being falling apart, being reversed?
Yes, all the advances we have made were in the political sphere, not in cultural, economic, and education spheres. And that's why, we are facing a lot of challenges. You cannot build democracy in Iraq by just holding elections. You need to change people's mentality. You need to enable Iraqi scholars to have free access to information. You have to review all legislation. You have to reform all the cultural and educational institutions so that they could serve the tools of Iraq. We are still behind, and we need the social and cultural and educational fields to keep up with the political changes. If we don't reform and carry out radical reforms in terms of culture and education, I'm afraid all the political advances on progress we have made will be lost because people will not accept, will not be happy with democracy that will bring with them misery and political violence. So they will associate democracy with order, with chaos and poverty.
Do you feel in danger? Do you feel threatened?
This year I lost one of my staff. He was a victim of a car bomb attack. Last month, a lady from the National Library was the victim of another bomb attack. And she was about to lose both of her legs. The security situation is, as I said, is going from bad to worse, not only for me, to all Iraqis, regardless of their ethnic or religious background, whether they were director or simple civil servants. We all are targets. It's a blind attack on all Iraqis.
Well, we're being told that by the end of the year, it's expected that the remaining 50,000 American troops in Iraq will be gone. Is the government in any way prepared for that? And what is that going to mean to you and your work and your staff?
I always feel that it's too premature to withdraw the U.S. forces, not because I love occupation. No one loves to see his country occupied by foreign forces, but because the Americans created this problem, and they should stay as long as it takes to improve the situation. The terrorists intensified the terrorist attacks as soon as they learned that the U.S. forces will withdraw from the country. Iraqi security forces are not ready yet. We don't have weapons and have training, and we need the Americans to develop a professional army that will serve the people, not to serve the political end of certain politicians. So I don't think that the withdrawal of the forces will help us and will persuade our politicians to compromise among themselves and to look after the interests of the country and the people. I think you can see with the withdrawal of the U.S. forces, we have a political crisis on a large scale because the Americans are trying to minimize their role in Iraq. Security is speaking.
Well, before we end this talk, I wonder if there's anything else that you can think of that American librarians, particularly the people who will be listening to this interview, are American librarians. And I've asked you this before, but what does the support of your colleagues and what can we do on the other side of the world to help you?
We have received a lot of moral and even material support from our colleagues in America. And this, the moral support are important as the material support. We are fighting the same enemy, the enemy of this country, the enemy of America, the enemy of our culture, the enemy of your culture, because our culture is part of your culture. All I ask that, to believe that working in a library or in an archive is an important job, especially when the country is facing a national crisis. Our country is in search of identity, in search of peace, of true peace, and our work is important, to successfully transit from dictatorship to democracy. All I ask is the continuation of your support, moral support to your colleague in Iraq.
Well, thank you, and I hope that you will keep in touch.